Oh my God, so much stuff to cover today. No, and I'm very excited. I don't know about you, but I'm super excited about this Saturday because apparently Viktor Shokin, you'll remember this guy who sucked so bad that him sticking around might have cost his country $1 million in loan guarantees. He's got an interview with Brian Kilmeade where, I mean, I don't know if I'm going to even have a show next week. They're probably going to, I mean, Biden probably won't be president anymore. They're going to instantly reinstall Trump, and I'll be obviously thrown in the gulag. After this guy, if he's allowed to say in public what he says in public, well, let's just hear it from him. This is Brian Kilmeade. This is a little clip from it. It doesn't air till this weekend, but this is one of the sweet spots of it, I have no doubt. And I know what you're thinking, but Brian Kilmeade, if Shokin had something really worth saying, clearly they would give it to a more able interviewer. And somebody who could really get to the ask the deep questions. They would hand it off to somebody like Kilmeade and kind of bury it on a Saturday if it was going to be in the Saturday afternoon, not even the Friday night news, Saturday afternoon when fucking nobody watches the news. If you don't believe me, one of these days I'll show you what it's like when I try to do a raid after my radio show on a Saturday. Check that shit out. It's fucking crickets, because I click on a little link to raid, and then it shows me who that I follow or that I've raided before is on at the time and live. Nobody. Fucking nobody. Just nobody. So meanwhile, yeah, here's Kilmeade says the narrative is wrong. Is that code for the Bidens are criminals and we have the proof now? We have evidence? I'm just saying, if you interviewed the dude and he handed you some paperwork and you're like, oh, fuck, well, that's the game. Is the phrase they're going to use to describe what you said, the narrative is wrong? Let's see what we shall see.
I have no doubt that there were illegal activities engaged in by Burisma.
I have no doubt that there were illegal activities engaged in by Burisma. Cut.
Continued to expand. And Zlochevsky, who at the time held the post of minister, started bringing in people who could provide protection for him.
Okay, so the idea is, and Zlochevsky, who was the minister at the time, and he wasn't the minister at the time when he brought him in. He was just, there was this period where he was the minister of, oil and gas or whatever there, and he was running Burisma at the same time, and everybody's like, that's pretty fucking sketchy. Oh, sorry, the audio. I'm translating.
Hunter Biden was among them, and the corruption.
So Hunter Biden is one of the people that Zlochevsky thought he could hire to protect himself. Notice he had to flee the country shortly thereafter. It didn't quite work.
Network expanded as a result.
In a Fox News exclusive, Ukraine's former prosecutor general, who was fired while investigating Burisma, is sharing.
Well, while there was an investigation going on that was going nowhere because they were paying him to not let it go further, Zlochevsky had this guy on the fucking payroll. That's why in the phone call that they're like, remember that phone call where he had to leave the room and they went and they needed to talk to somebody in Washington to protect Shokin or whatever, or deal with Shokin, which is the other thing. The reality is the Burisma, Zlochevsky particularly, was worried that Shokin was going to get fired because the devil you know is better than the devil you don't, and he had his price. He didn't know that the guy replacing him, well, first of all, if anybody replaced him and actually did their fucking job, Zlochevsky did not want that. But also, this guy he could hold him at bay. If they brought in somebody who was more corrupt, it might cost him more to keep him on tip.
Allegations about the Biden family corruption scandal.
One Nation host Brian Kilmeade joins us now with more on his exclusive interview. Brian?
Great. So, Brian, they were going to air this during Fox and Friends when nobody watches, but they decided to do it on Saturday because the numbers are even lower. For your show, why do you think Fox News would bury this Shokin interview?
Good morning. It was a great interview. Nice. Very well done
thanks.
line of questioning. First of all,
Very well done line of questioning. This is going to be so good. I've not watched this, so I'm...
quick, how did you line that up?
Rudy Giuliani set it up?
Taylor Walters reached out, just tried to hunt it down for the last month or so. And finally, they said, you know, you're the only one to really request. He's sitting by himself in a war zone, $800 a month he's living on. And he has a book. They tried to kill him.
I see.
He feels him trying to kill him. He had mercury poisoning 3 times. He said twice I was clinically dead. And then we got the medical records to back it up. And he's...
Right, because ask Prigozhin. Once you outlive your usefulness with Russia, they kill you. Unless you go back to doing what you're supposed to do, which is attack who they have set you about attacking.
He would like to get his story out. He says nobody wanted my...
He's got a book.
...side of the story.
So I wrote a book.
So that was my goal. You know, I'm not telling you that he walks on water. I'm not telling you everything he's done.
Of course not. You can't tell us everything he's done, because if you do, we'll all go, why the fuck are we listening to this asshole?
Is above board. I don't know. But
yeah, I don't know. What I do know is he was willing to say shit about Biden.
But I know this. The narrative is wrong. Poroshenko asked him to come out of retirement to straighten things out after the puppet government of Russia was overthrown in a legitimate election. He said, well, for the West to endorse us, for the EU to accept us, we have to get rid of corruption. Enter guys like Shokin. And he came in, and he
started printing money.
Just trying to gut.
And then he lost it all, and now he lives on $800.
And a lot of people didn't want him to do that. And one of which, it seems, is Burisma. And the 2 people put on that board who have no qualifications, Devin Archer and Hunter Biden. And
ooh, it's interesting. I mean, this is why Kilmeade is our sort of favorite kind of dumb at Fox News. That Devin Archer made more money from the Burisma deal than Hunter did, but for some reason, the House and like if you work for Burisma and you're involved in that shit, clearly you're on the take for Ukrainian oligarchs or Russians or some shit or some shady stuff. So the guy making less in the deal, by the way, that Devin largely set up. So Devin makes more money in this situation than Hunter is, but it makes him more trustworthy than Hunter. Devin Archer, sun shines out of his ass, Hunter Biden bad. Even though both of them were doing the same fucking job.
What are they doing? Some sort of protection. Devin Archer even said in these meetings, in these board meetings, we knew that Shokin was a problem, but they didn't tell us that they fired him because of us or because of any corruption. They just said, well, Shokin's gone, that problem's done. And when you watch the Archer interview, when you read the Archer testimony and transcripts, you realize there's a story here.
Yes, and if you read those things and you listen to his under oath testimony, the story is Biden was in business with his kid. His kid was put there because he can't run off with this fucking money. Nobody knows who the fuck Devin Archer is, ultimately. If Devin Archer was an American businessman who you and I'd never heard of, and he just worked on Burisma for a little while, got a bunch of investor money from around the world, and while he was working at Burisma, suddenly just fucked off to Russia and sat on $120 million and just kept it, gave 60 to Putin, and then got a nice house and lived in some sort of weird cushy existence. You and I'd never know about it. But Hunter Biden can't. That's what he was there for.
At the very least, can we stop hearing just Joe Biden's version?
Hey, Brian.
Yes. Why are we just hearing Joe Biden's version, which has been repeatedly under oath or and again, literally under his oath as vice president and president. But on top of that, as a member of the U.S. government versus this guy Shokin, who was broomed because he wouldn't move forward with these kind of investigations because he was on the tape.
The Joe Biden's version, the left's version, is that
the left's version.
Shokin was fired, and they were advocating for his firing because he wasn't doing his job, not because he was doing his job so vigorously. They say he wasn't, in fact, investigating Burisma.
Yeah, he had an open investigation. This is where they start this shit. And that's how the scam works. So you're I don't know, you're a police chief in a particular district in the Bronx in 1970s, and there's a back and forth between the mob and the police force as far as payoffs and stuff. Some cops get paid off. There's a bad unit. Some mob guys pay protection to the cops. And one of the things the sort of chief does is open an investigation into John Gotti or somebody from the Gambino family. Open the investigation. And then he takes that folder with the investigation in it, puts it on his shelf, and basically puts a dead man switch on it. In case of emergency, break glass. If they cross this line or if they fuck with us, that comes down off the shelf. And that's how it works. It works that way all over the fucking world. And Ukraine was rife with it because the Russians were trying to undermine their entire system of government.
So, Will, okay, you and I aren't there. So what do we know? We have to judge other people's opinions about what he was doing. Victoria Nuland, who made herself a little bit more famous during the impeachment. To Shokin, summer of 2015, we have been impressed with the ambitious reform and the anti-corruption agenda of your government. The challenge you face are difficult and not insurmountable. The CIA official, Eric Ciaramella.
Yeah, she wrote him a letter going, we're glad that you got a lot of work to do, don't you? And we're glad your government is doing it. Are you doing that thing? And by the way, this is like right when he's in fucking office.
Which is an Italian, I should be pronouncing that better, says this. We are super impressed with the Shokin group. He had 2-hour conversation with the challenges they face. And that's when a word came up about he was in there they asked him, why was Shokin fired? And he answered this when asked who was fired. Yikes. I don't remember his firing coming up in the meeting that we had on Tuesday. So they wanted him to confirm what Joe Biden was saying, that he had to be fired. Now, think about this.
Wait a minute. Who was this person?
Yikes. I don't Shokin. That's when a word came up. He had 2-hour conversation. Says this. Eric Ciaramella, which is an Italian, I should be pronouncing that better, says this. We are super impressed with the Shokin group. He had 2-hour conversation with the challenges they face. And that's when a word came up about he was in there they asked him, why was Shokin?
Hold on. Eric Ciaramella
and not insurmountable. The CIA official, Eric Ciaramella.
I see. So a CIA official, Eric Ciaramella, at the time, notice he puts a date on the other thing, but doesn't put a date on this. It might just because he's stupid.
Which is an Italian, I should be pronouncing that better, says this. We are super impressed with the Shokin group. He had 2-hour conversation with the challenges they face. And that's when a word came up about he was in there they asked him, why was Shokin fired? And he answered this when asked who was fired. Yikes. I don't remember his firing coming up in the meeting that we had on Tuesday. So they wanted him to confirm what Joe Biden was saying, that he had to be fired. Now, think about this. I was watching this.
Wait, here's what I need to know. Those two statements, same guy, those two statements, were they said at the same time? I'm going to guess no. I'm going to guess the first one is from one conversation. The second one's from another conversation. If they happened at the exact same time, then I don't know. Is he one of the yellow cake crowd?
Again last night. When you look at the extended comments to foreign relations that Vice President Joe Biden or former Vice President Joe Biden was giving.
President Joe Biden, who was vice president at the time. That's how you properly say it.
You know what he said? When Poroshenko was told, fire the prosecutor, you don't get your $1 billion. He says, you're not the president. Now, stop right there. You're not the president because perhaps Poroshenko says, I didn't know this was your policy. I mean, it makes one think.
Right. That's so great that you bring it up. And again, this is so wonderful. Run that by me again, dum-dum. What's our favorite 2 words from I guess the secret video of Biden on stage at the CFR talking about the exchange? Call him.
Perhaps Poroshenko says, I didn't know this was your policy. I mean, it makes one think again.
It makes one think again. Maybe I should watch that fucking video where Biden says, call him. Poroshenko didn't know what the policy was because Poroshenko was ignoring the policy. He didn't know we cared that much about it, or we were paying that much attention.
Say, wait a second, was this guy wildcatting on his own?
No, he wasn't. That's why he said, call him.
The vice president?
Yeah.
So, I mean.
Okay, hold on. Fucking hell. Well, just in case anybody's late to the game on this one, and I don't think anybody is. Let's do this. Biden, CFR, Shokin, firing clip. Okay, this should be it. Let's go to videos. Videos. Here we go. Now, this piece, this is from the Congressional Oversight Committee. And now, we might have some maggots in the crowd that are very confused by all this. But I would like to point out a couple of things before I play it to you. Play it for you. One is they are not sitting around a table at a restaurant with smoking cigars in a darkly lit room like a bunch of fucking gangsters. If you'll notice, there's a giant Council on Foreign Relations step and repeat that's on printed all over the fucking wall. And they're not just like, this isn't a paid fan gig where he went to somebody's house and they just really love the CFR, so they painted it on their wall. He's on stage in front of a live audience of people talking about some of the challenges that they faced in the Obama-Biden administration. Okay, let's jump. It's a minute long. Let's hear.
I was not but it just happened to be that was the assignment I got. I got all the good ones,
if you'll notice, that's what we would commonly refer to as a joke, as in getting to do Ukraine or deal with what was going on in Ukraine as vice president was a bit of a pain in the ass.
So I got Ukraine, and I remember going over convincing our team, or others too, convincing us that we should be providing for loan guarantees. And I went over.
Okay, let's start there. First of all, Biden was on the, and his team were talking about, we didn't bring taxpayer money. You keep hearing this shit all over the place. They say it, the Republicans say it, Jim Jordan says it, all that shit about how it's $1 billion of your tax money. This is like fucking, even Rusty Trombone pulls this one, where they're, it's your tax money and he's using your tax money. Okay, first of all, it's not. It's loan guarantees. If these loans are paid back, it never cost us a fucking dime. And they were, by the way. So that money never, it sat in an account as a, as sort of equity or as effectively a down payment that never moved from the Treasury anywhere else. It was just a promissory note, essentially, that if you fall through and aren't able to pay, these loans back, we'll cover the interest of it or the principal up to $1 billion. The same thing was happening with the world, the WTF. Not the World Bank, but anyways. So they were doing the same thing to the tune of $70 billion. But let's start with the fact that it was Biden's idea to help them out with loan guarantees instead of direct U.S. taxpayer cash. Let's start there. Heard of the deal, anyone?
I guess the 12th, 13th time to Kyiv, and I was supposed to announce that there was another $1 billion loan guarantee. And
another, not the only, not the one, another.
I had gotten a commitment from Poroshenko and from Yatsenyuk that they would take action against the state prosecutor, and they didn't. So they said they were walking out to press conference. I said, no, I'm not going to, we're not going to give you the $1 billion. They said, you have no authority. You're not the president. The president said. I said, call him.
There we go. Call him. That's, again, this is where the whole fucking thing dies.
I said,
it gets a laugh.
You're not getting $1 billion. I said, you're not getting $1 billion. I'm going to be leaving here. And I think it was, 6 hours? I said, I'm leaving in 6 hours. If the prosecutor's not fired, you're not getting the money. Well, son of a bitch. got fired.
And by the way, he had been on them about this for a period of time. Like, this was an issue. Hold on. Is this where'd I go? Yeah, this guy. So this was not the first time they had talked about firing Shokin, according to Biden's telling of it, and according to, by the way, his entire team. So Biden's team on Ukraine, everybody who worked on it, tells the same story. That they had tried multiple times to get Poroshenko to fire Shokin. Shokin's the godfather of Poroshenko's fucking kids. And was effectively on the take. He was, and there are some people, by the way, because you can't be completely, like, you can't be criming everywhere or you'll get caught. So you have to, like, do some good work to hide the bad work that you're doing. So Shokin was pretty good at that in the very beginning. And then he settled into basically the same system that was there before he came into office, which was the guys with money will throw everybody who's broke and a criminal under the fucking bus. But if you got money, you can pay me to, move your case to the back of the list so you can shuffle some shit around at the very least. And if not, you can just pay me on the regular to keep it, on the shelf.
Why can't we ask these questions?
You can ask these questions, fuckhead. Again, this is the weirdest thing. Ask all the fucking questions you want. But when the guy's answer is, I feel there must have been some bribing going on. Your next question is, do you have any proof of bribes? And they go, no. That's the next question. And when they say no, stop asking the fucking question. At least of that person, if you still believe bribes are happening, this well is dry, you dumb son of a bitch.
No, listen, it's just so shocking that...
Oh, it's so shocking.
You're the first person to ask to interview this guy.
First of all, Rudy interviewed him for hours for some documentary that never fucking happened. Does anybody think that if Rudy had gotten some rock solid shit out of this guy, it would have been, he would have sat on it for some reason?
Good on you. We have been super impressed with this interview. Here's another clip that I find very interesting. Watch.
Okay, so this is what she finds. Everybody gets their own video pick hit of the week.
There is no doubt that his actions have damaged the U.S. reputation in Ukraine.
There is no doubt that his actions have damaged the U.S. reputation in Ukraine.
It is public knowledge. Everybody knows that it was because of Joe Biden's actions that Russia was able to claim Crimea without firing a single shot.
Oh, I see. So it's not just the Obama-Biden administration, even though he was vice president at the time. It was Biden's fault that Russia invaded Ukraine and kept it. Yeah, honest to God, this is for this to be like the generalized thought in the entire country. This is literally the first time I'm hearing anyone even make this accusation. Should we believe their interpreter? Oh, well, that's another question for another time. This is definitely what he's saying, though. I mean, because somebody else will check. We'll get Phil to check.
Which, of course, eventually led to a full-scale war that is currently underway.
So he says that the Biden corruption is embarrassing to America. And then he also says that it's responsible for why Russia was able to take Crimea without firing a shot. Can you explain what he means by that?
Yeah, because I'm not quite sure that's what he said. But if that's what you think he said, yeah, tell me what you think he thought he said.
I can't. And
okay, that's all right. Well, that was good. All right, I was not expecting that. I mean, this is the ask the person who did the interview. Boy.
A shot. Can you explain what he means by that?
I can't. And I tried to get him to expand on that because the timing isn't exactly right. In 2014, Crimea was invaded. 2015 is when he was fired. I want to look into that, but what would he?
Yeah, I'll look into it for you. It's bullshit. That's fucking great. So she looks very sad though. Look at. I mean, these guys look, like they're posing for actionsuits.com, but she's just like, fuck, I picked the wrong clip. This is, I'll ask, well, they did have him on. Michael Richards in the chat room is saying, I'll have, this is good. I'll ask the liar when I have him on. He had him on already. This is a pre-taped interview. They've seen the whole thing. They're going to air it on Saturday. That's that's amazing. I'm impressed. That's a new one to me. I can't. Can we? You guys mind? I need to hear that again.
Timing isn't exactly.
Hold on.
Without firing a shot. Can you explain what he means by that?
I can't, and I tried to get him to expand on that because the timing isn't exactly right. In 2014, Crimea was Crimea.
Not exactly right. Off by a year and change. You know, but in the greater scope, in the expansion of the universe timescape, it's like this. It's like a hair on a mouse's ass. But
Crimea was invaded. 2015 is when he was fired. I want to look into that, but the overarching.
I want to look into that. Yeah, I don't know. Start with the calendar on your fucking phone.
Statement was this: we came off. Joe Biden came off like he was in control, and it humiliates another country.
Yeah.
When you have another country's leaders go, yeah, fire this guy, keep this guy, rotate him out. You better do this, and here's your $1 billion.
Okay, first of all, no. If you're asking for $1 billion from another country, beggars can't be choosers, motherfucker. And these assholes are against people getting welfare. They're against people getting unemployment insurance they fucking worked for, much less welfare. And this motherfucker's going to say, poor Ukraine, at the time that it was just transitioning out from under being a sock puppet of Russia, is all of a sudden, this is insulting, telling us we have to fire. He didn't go out on stage and say it, you dumb motherfucker. He didn't walk out onto this stage and going, I was going to give you guys $1 billion, but this motherfucker likes corruption more than he likes you. So I'm, and tears up the fucking check. Are you out of your mind? What are you talking about? He did it behind closed doors. They fired the guy and then you got the money. We're not going to give you the money if the money's going to end up in fucking Russia. It's why we didn't give offensive weapons to Ukraine until the end of Poroshenko into Zelensky, because we didn't trust him. If you give offensive weapons to Yanukovych, he was working for the Russians. He'd used them on the Ukrainians.
Ukraine obviously has a lot of pride in being Ukrainian. They don't want to be Russian, Soviet. They don't have nothing to do with the Soviet era. They want to be Western. And to have him come in there and say that.
And say, you've been kind of run like a Russian state. If you want to be run like a Western state, you got to shape up. And we're not going to give you a bunch of free money unless you operate like a Western state. You don't get to have all the corruption of Russia and all of our money. What the fuck? The fact that both of these, Jesus Christ. The fact that Kilmeade doesn't even realize, like, that he is contradicting 30 years of Fox programming right now. They're deeply held beliefs. Just throw them out the fucking window.
I want this guy fired, you don't get your $1 billion. That becomes worldwide news, and this prideful country goes, are we really calling our own shots? And that's why he said it did huge damage to the relationship between the countries.
Are you out of your fucking mind? They love us. Fox and everybody around them has taken nothing but shit shots at Ukraine throughout, even like so much so that the one sane point in the entire programming is Sean Hannity defending Ukraine because he hates Vladimir Putin because he's not completely fucking deluded. What? Oi. Hit the like and subscribe and all that kind of stuff. And why is am I not on YouTube or anything? What's happening? I don't see any of the other channels in my chat. Why would that be? Are we okay in the thing? I just want to check. Seem all right. Are all the other channels open? It seems to be. They're supposed to be. Oh, there they are. Okay. Maybe this is it. Maybe it's only showing that one. Oh, I see. Yeah. Let's go to here. All right. I got to reload. I see. Yeah, my chat up here was only exit page. I got to reopen it. Aw, snap, it says. That's not good when Chrome says aw, snap. Hey, there we go. Now we got it. Okay, I just couldn't see all of a sudden the YouTube chat was gone. That's very sad. Yes, Brian is catching flies right now. He's got his flies open.
I never thought about it bigger than Shokin in that way. But yeah, that would bother me if I found out that another country, France, came in and said, yeah, we're not selling you a version of nuclear subs if you don't get rid of the Assistant Secretary of Defense.
Here, let me flip this for you. Well, how would you feel if the United States gave France nuclear subs if their Assistant Secretary of Defense had been rumored to and had been accused of openly of providing military secrets to the Russians and the Iranians? Now how important is firing that fuck before you give him the technology? So now let's go back down to money. Shokin is financially corrupt. He's extorting people in this process, which involves how money travels around the country, who get, what percentage of every $1 billion that we give them goes to, 200 million of it goes to just greasing fucking palms everywhere? And you're okay with that? Lord almighty.
And they did. We'd be humiliated. It doesn't happen to America, but other countries trying to establish their identity, it would bother them.
Yeah.
Trying to establish their identity with our money. And we're glad to help them do it. But nobody has to help you, dumb. I love the fact that this motherfucker just is totally blind to the obvious and direct parallels between unemployment insurance and welfare, and how conservatives, and specifically him and Fox, has talked about people who need help. How about work requirements, motherfucker? How about that? Like, get a goddamn job or we won't give you your welfare. That make any sense to you? How about do your goddamn job or you won't get paid? All right. Are we paying the check or are they? We are. Okay. Do we get to have any demands at all if we're giving the money? Because again, this is fucking optional. Yeah, I'm just amazed at the blind spot in this shit.
Yeah, it's a kind of imperialism, yeah.
It's kind of like imperialism. All right. Now, obviously, the Shokin interview this Saturday will be fucking choice, and I look forward to doing the whole thing. It'll be on after the radio show, so I'll probably have to do a special report on Sunday with it. But it's part of the news story. I think, is it Jesse Waters or no? Who did this? Yeah, okay, so this is Jesse Waters. I think this is 5 co-hosts react to former prosecutor general of Ukraine, Viktor Shokin, alleging President Biden took bribes as vice president. Okay, so this is it. Okay, this is from the 5, and this is them talking, I think. Oh, I wanted to show you this. Can I show you this? Here, hold on. This is articles. This is from one of the weird QAnon sites. If you have any doubt that QAnon, besides being an anti-Semitic shit show of horrible people, is also a pro-Kremlin cover, this is in one of the big QAnon accounts. I discovered this. Assassinations work in both directions. See you in hell, traitor. Aren't you kind of giving it away? Aren't you that kind of on the nose a little bit, right? So, anyways, you guys are wonderful. Hold on. Don't forget to like, subscribe, give a thumbs up, support the show. It's Hal Sparks, Mega Worldwide.